Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and thanks for stopping by. Our dedicated team will guide you through with the latest updates and theories at Starbase, Texas. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon for future streams.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, Starbase friends around the world. Astro Joe here for RGV Aerial Photography, episode 135 of Starbase Weekly. Got some excellent photos from Friday, nice clear weather, and we decided to postpone the stream today until today due to Crew 9 launch yesterday. I'll pass it on over to your host, Stephanie.
Okay, g'day from Australia. This is Stephanie B. Some nice photos. They took the little Cessna 150 up to take this photo, and eventually the poor little airplane finally got up to altitude and quite likely set a record for that particular airframe at 11,000 feet. Okay, we've got Alex with us today. How you going, Alex?
I'm doing great. Hello from LA. You should have a good show.
And we've got Darth Lawrence. Lawrence, how you going, Lawrence?
I'm doing great. Great to see these photos, and hello from Northern California.
Okay, we're all over the place. From all over the place. Okay, let's start over at Massey's. Okay, we might just jump straight into the big ticket item that we saw SpaceX doing a bit of salvage work on, recovery work on Booster 10 here, which is very interesting to see. And we got some really nice images of the aft section here, missing one major component in here. The whole thrust puck is completely missing. I guess it just got blown out.
Yeah, this is Booster 11.
Booster 11. I said Booster 11. Booster 10. Yeah, Booster 11. Thank you. Well, hopefully that's my mistake for the day and I won't make any more. Now, we'll look at the photo from Elon Musk here. This is how it got dragged out of the ocean. And we're trying to work out before where the common dome was. There's talk that the common dome was above the tear, but I got an inkling that the common dome, I might be right, the common dome might be up there. I feel like we should know this, but I feel like the common dome is in there. Anyhow, it's only a minor detail.
I think it is. it's deceptive from that angle, since so much of the aft section, the power heads and stuff are below it.
Now this photo is an awesome photo. We can see the engine shielding how it survived the explosion from the outside. They're normally designed to handle an explosion from the inside. You can see it got fairly dinted though. And we can see where engines did get ripped off. So it looks like a fairly major explosion event happened out this way. This may have been the side we saw flames coming when the booster was almost landing, but that's only a guess, of course.
Yeah, with the way it's being pulled out, that's very possible.
And all the external covers have been blown off. I wonder if that acts like some kind of, I think Ryan might have been saying on the show and tell, where it acts like some kind of like a safety valve, a blowout valve type thing, which I'm not sure about that. Here we can see how all the shielding, you can see the different pieces of the shielding, the dividers and how they bolt in, and it's quite a good image, that one. And back to our images. They've obviously cut it in half here. I think this one's upside down, was underneath there when they pulled it out. And some of these stringers here we could see in the last photo over here all being ripped out. So whatever happened there to Booster 11, it was definitely a very large explosive event. Over here we can see some engine shielding from a center engine. So they're finding a few other bits and pieces while they're down there.
I believe they're back on site looking for more of it. I think somebody tweeted that today.
Yeah, Space Engineer. That Space Engineer was partly responsible for giving us an insight that they were heading out to there in the first place. So it looks like they've gone back down to Mexico to pick up their divers and heading back out to the landing zone. Hopefully we'll see some thrust puck getting recovered in the next lot. Excuse me. And the big question, I guess people are asking whether the thrust puck would be in one piece. And I mean, it's a pretty substantial piece of steel, the thrust puck. As I reckon there's a pretty good chance it'll be in one piece. Maybe minus engines. I dare say the landing tank and all this sort of stuff would be more than likely blown to pieces, but the actual thrust puck itself should be in one piece. So this photo here gives us a bit of an idea, this drawing, of where the dome should be in relation to the chine there. Let me just have a look at that. So there's a chine there.
It's split right at that seam where the stringers and the dome meet up.
Just there.
Yep. Right there, yeah. So it probably fired out the thrust puck sort of like a cannon shooting a bullet.
I know, right? It would have been pretty amazing to see. Another big question, and feel free to comment in the chat, is whether the explosion was caused, this photo might be better, because there's methane down here, whether the explosion was caused from a failure as it landed, or whether, and that caused the explosion from here down, or whether it had something to do with the very hot engines meeting the very cold seawater and creating some kind of steam explosion. I'm personally more inclined to think it's to do with something internal letting go, whether an engine got shoved up or got pushed up through here, or when it actually hit the water, some physical damage happened. There was fire as it landed, so something was already broken somewhere. There was some major leak or something going on with one of the engines as it landed, as we saw in that little bit of footage from the buoy. I call it a buoy. You call it a buoy.
A buoy.
Buoy. Anyhow, yeah.
Why not both? A steam explosion causing damage, and then a proper detonation.
That's a good, that's a good speculation as well. Thank you. I see people ask whether they may start an engine up again. Well, I think there was a centre engine or two spotted here when this first arrived, and as far as I know, they've gone up to McGregor. So I'm not sure what they're going to do at McGregor. I really don't think they'll fire an engine up, but they may pull one apart to have a look at it, to have a look, to do a bit of post-flight diagnosis. I mean, it'd be cool if they fired one up, but I really don't think so.
Yeah, I think they will definitely do that diagnosis, and I believe this gives them a really good test bed environment for harsh conditions for the Raptors. So they may be able to gain some data on how their survivability in such as like a trip to Mars would be in long radiation, like just to see what the wear and tear on the seawater, just to give them some general idea of how they react in harsh environments.
I see coming in chat, some of these engine bell damage might have been from, some of it might have been from the explosion, some of it might have been from actually landing at the bottom of the ocean on a bit of an angle, perhaps. But yeah, the bell's got. Oh, go on.
If the aft section was in the water when it detonated, the seawater would have braced part of it as well.
Yeah, that's because water doesn't compress. It would have transmitted the energy straight into these bells, I would imagine.
But the can was how much silts in those bells. It almost looks like it pile drive with that upper section leading the way.
It's not a good look for a rocket engine with an engine bell full of silt.
Well, and the left side, you can see where the whole outer ring tore away from the aft section. The previous photo.
In this photo, sorry.
No, the one at Masses on the left side, you can, that whole section right below there is all the engines are displaced downwards and ripped away from their mounting point.
Yep. Agreed. Okie dokie. I guess that's it up on that whole thing. So hopefully, we'll see some more of the parts get lifted up when I go out there again. Okay, let's move on to the test structure. Now, where's that photo? One of these photos. Yeah, this one, I think. Interesting thing. Hang on. Just let me get the right photo. Hang on. This one shows it a bit interesting that they put this beam, this piece of steel in here. And originally, I thought it was perhaps to, and I guess it does as well, isolates the force from these rams to give the force some lateral, to isolate the force to that sort of direction. But there's also another actuator in here, and we can see the linkages here for the actual flap actuators. So they're testing the actual flap actuator here as well as the flap mount. I'm sure there's a better photo of that. Maybe that was the... Oh, here it is. That's the photo. There you can see the actuator in here. So they're really giving that whole flat mount and actuator a good old workout. So that almost indicate there's some change in here to that structure in there.
Yeah,
Possibly. Go on.
I was just going to say, as they're trying to save weight, they might want to make sure that these will still hold up like the Block 1s.
Yeah, I'd say it's to do with weight. Yeah, because that's one of the main things they're trying to do is reduce weight, dry mass. So yeah, we've noticed they've changed the block to the upper section of the ship to save some weight. They've seemed to have stripped out a lot of the framework up in the top of the ship. So I guess they're following along down here as well. Okay, another interesting little detail is they've either turned this upside down. I don't think we actually got an answer on that, whether they turn it upside down or whether they welded in tops here, they've painted it at least. I think they've tipped it upside down. And they've been working on the next section here. We can see they've brought in the handrails and the walkways for around this part of the ring, which they assemble before they place it on top. I think this photo is a better photo. So we've got the handrails here, these handrails, and these pieces for here. Now we didn't really get to see the what's going on with the with the quick disconnect area where there was what sort of actuators were put in there. So still no actuators up here on top yet on these mounting points yet. I'm wondering whether they're going to be for later on when they do these higher tests with these higher frames. So doesn't look like there's anything getting mounted in here either to receive those actuators that we think will offer some twisting force up here. Perhaps that's for another test for another day. Now have a quick look over here at the LOX tanks. We can see they're working away at getting these LOX tanks installed, getting them plumbed at least.
Yeah, as they wrap up Cadence, they're going to need to get those online as soon as possible.
So we still haven't seen. So there's a common manifold down here. There's a pipe, one of these large cryo pipes running along underneath here. It's down there. We still haven't seen it pop out this end yet. We expect it to pop out. Hang on, that's not it down there, is it, Alex?
I believe it is.
Oh, they have put it in. Oh, there you go. Is
Yeah,
that
it's
it?
the expansion loop there. Yeah.
Okay, they have put that in now, finally. Okay, so that's where this liquid oxygen runs over to this side manifold before the pumps to then go out to the various airframes. I missed that in show and tell. There you go.
They sneak it in every now and then.
So these perhaps could be in commission already, even.
They appear to be.
Well, that's a good. So I wonder if they'll pull these tanks out. I mean, these tanks look rather small, don't they, compared to these? But I suppose every little bit helps. Okay. A quick look over here. So we saw an expansion over here that's disappeared. So that might be what we saw installed. There's still a few bits and pieces here to be installed somewhere at Massey's. And just to finish up, we'll have a quick look over here, and I'm sure we're going to get 100 questions. So nothing much in this area, I think. Everything's pretty well as it was. Getting ready to hopefully see 33 here one day soon, which I don't think will be for a little bit of time, but pretty sure that'll be the next ship here. Okay, Joe, with that, we'll go on to some questions and donations, please.
All right, I want to start off by thanking Rick for a very generous $50 super chat, starting the fuel train. Choo-choo, he says. Thank you very much for that. As well as RC Horseman gifting 70 Canadian dollars super chat. Says, just because I like what you do, thanks. Thank you for that, RC. And Ben Creasy Vision, $4.99. I assumed they cut the thrust puck to save weight when lifting. What do you think about that?
I'm not sure they did any cutting down there. These brakes all look like they're blown apart. That's a good thought. I don't agree with that thought, but you could be correct. I mean, but I seriously think that the thrust puck was blown out. I can never say an idea like that's wrong because we don't know, obviously. But in my opinion, no. But sure, could have been.
How clean the ring weld on zip that kind of leads to a massive structural failure when it exploded.
Yeah, rather a weld letting go rather than actually being cut. Because we've seen in the past when I do cutting, it's quite irregular. It's not perfectly straight like these. These are definitely welds ripping apart. So it looks like it was blown out rather than cut out, and it sort of stands to reason too that if there was a massive explosion here to let go around that seam. I'm surprised. I mean, it let go at that weld particularly, and not at this weld in places and that weld in places. Like here, it let go at different welds. Over here, it let go at that weld, and over this side, it let go at that weld. So it's a good thought because of the fact that it's all in one spot. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it got blown out, to be honest. But like I say, we don't know for sure. So all thoughts are good thoughts.
All right. I want to thank Flippers79, Flip Diaz for gifting a membership, Martin for gifting 5, Callistia Lee for gifting 5, and Jake Winlow for gifting 5 memberships. Thank you all for that amazing support. Got a question from Magnum. Why would they pull it out of the ocean unless they found something out of order on Booster 12 or want to repeat a splashdown? They wouldn't want to expect it. Wouldn't they want to inspect it? What are your thoughts?
One thought is ITAR. It's in water that's quite easy to dive down to. So one thought is to get the engines up because this part of the boosters where all the action's at. The rest of the boosters pretty well just steel tanks. So perhaps for ITAR, perhaps for some diagnosis, but I'm sort of leaning towards ITAR. What do you think, Alex?
I'm leaning to because they could. It's kind of a cool souvenir to hold on to for a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's the fact that they actually had a recoverable booster versus the first 3 flights is the reason they did it, and it was in a shallower area.
And along those same lines, Mahmoud Ahmad, sorry about that. Will they fish out Ship 29 too? Maybe inspect that poor flap.
Unfortunately, that's probably in 12,000 feet of water, so it would take a sort of like expedition to the Titanic to recover it.
Yeah, makes good sense. All right. Kel-El states when the cryogenic fuel and oxygen hit the water, there's going to be some flash freezing involved. Not to mention the heat, the boiling, going to be a lot of things going on when it does hit. And also states someone said that if it went straight down, it'd be sticking about 10 feet out of the water in the place where it landed, so that'd be silly.
Yeah, it would have been interesting to see a camera on landing as to what exactly happened between steam and. Yeah, there was a lot of forces involved. Water's quite hard, I guess. And yeah, I wouldn't know what happened when it actually landed. But like I said earlier, there was already some flameage going on. So there was already some damage before it hit the water. There was already something going on with it. Perhaps that got amplified when it actually hit the water. With steam, maybe just water contacting one of the rocket engines, perhaps as the engine was still running when it hit the water, perhaps was enough to push an engine through. I'm not sure.
All right. Question from Rick. Do you think they'll ever connect that last small tank on the deluge system?
That's a good question. You'd think so, wouldn't you? I mean, it's sitting there. I mean, for now, maybe they've worked out. I don't know. That's a good question. Why they never did that? I sort of can't work that out. Oh, excuse me. Sorry.
Last question I've got in my queue from Liam Donald is, have we seen anything made out of the 3mm steel yet?
That's a question for the ring watchers. I don't believe so. I think we've only just seen that steel arrive. So
Yeah.
not that I know of. I haven't in the channels that I look through. I haven't seen anything mentioned about anything being made with it yet.
Me neither. So that's all I have in my queue.
Okay, let's jump over to Sanchez. Good timing. All right, we'll start with the OLM. So some recent developments. We've had these couple of parts arrive, and we've had these stands placed in amongst the original 4 stands. Interestingly, they're shaped like parallelograms, rhombuses, and there's marks here for another set of them to go in. And when we first saw them, I thought they were square like these, or rectangle at least, sorry. But now we can see they've got angles on them, which kind of matches, not so much that angle, but matches this angle in here. I think, Alex, you're saying about them being lined up with these.
They're pretty close to it when you start modeling everything out.
Which will put the edges over here somewhere. So there's maybe some kind of leg piece still to come in here, or maybe these are part of the legs. I'm not sure. That's a thought I had, was that the shape of these and the placement kind of makes you think that they're permanent, but doesn't necessarily mean that. It could be, like you said, Alex, just to have them sitting exactly where they need to be. I wonder if they're slightly not parallel. Oh, hang on. We worked out in the show and tell. These aren't curved. There's 3. There's a straight piece there, and then a straight piece along here, and another straight piece here. So the ends of these could be parallel in here as well.
When that'll sit on those, the wide part they're about as wide as the wide part of that rail. because that's a bit wider than the four pedestals.
Yeah, they're a little bit wider, aren't they? Where are they lined up? They're lined up.
They're lined to the straight edge of the outer square.
Yep. It wasn't until we got that overhead shot we could really see that they were angled on the edges here. Some of these photos, it's still hard to see the angle, but the overhead photo shows it. So these, there was talk maybe one's longer than the other, but the way they're sitting on the ground, it's a bit of a camera trick here. Look at this line here. So project that line over here. That one's sitting back over that way a little bit. Still got that QD over there. Here's another photo of that area. A bit sort of close to the vertical over the top. So it's interesting, those cutouts. This photo showed it. Cutouts on the ends here. And it appears to be cutouts all the way through. I think we saw that last week. And there's a cutout on that back on this one, but not, and over there, but not on this one. And I'm still waiting to see where the clamps and everything pop through, and so there's no cutouts on this side that we can see. But then I was reminded that when they built the original OLM, they did a lot of that sort of cutting out afterwards. So they still may have to cut out bits and pieces of it.
Don't forget, this could also be a frame to support an upper level with the mounts and everything else.
Yeah, that's a good thought, because also it's weird that it's angled in like that. That's concaved inwards rather than convex inwards, rather than you'd sort of imagine it'd be the other way around. But we'll have to keep an eye on that. It's very interesting to see that getting slowly being assembled in front of our very eyes. And of course, Grover's being set up to be used here to lift all these pieces into place. So we should see 2 more of those arrive soon, and we should see them, and 4 more of these arrive soon, and we should see them lifting these pieces in very soon. So I guess Grover's already been used to lift these pieces in, I would imagine.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't be surprised if by the next flyover they've already started setting everything into place.
I could not work out what exactly that is.
Well, it appears to be steel, at least.
I hate you.
All right. So we'll leave this area now for questions a bit later on. We'll head over this area for a second quickly. And there's more parts here for another one of these turntable-y things. So the one that was here last week's been obviously delivered over into the Star Factory. It was a couple of days ago. I think BJ was saying they saw it delivered a couple of days ago.
Yeah, it went in sometime between Thursday, when NSF did their flyover, and by the time RGV had done this flyover. So it was there on Thursday morning still.
So say 10 curved ring sections and 10 radials there. And just on that, also though, over here, there's even more parts for even more of those turntables. I'm calling them turntables with air quotes. I guess they're some kind of turntable. And some kind of jig anyway. I'll call them jigs. So there's more parts for jigs. Looks like, are they the crane, those pedestal crane parts, perhaps?
Looks like a shipping label on that tube.
Wish I could read it. Okay, just before we jump too far ahead.
There's
Go
parts
on.
hiding by the wall, down towards the other towards the GSC building, along the outer wall. No, the other direction. Down near where the stands are being
To
assembled.
the right.
A little bit more. Right in there, in these shadows. I'm not sure what any of that red rusty steel is.
There's more of these. Remember these for a little while ago. But that, yeah.
It's a very heavy.
Are they just stands, are they?
Don't know.
Okay, yeah.
It caught my eye when you were scrolling by really quickly.
I can't quite see it here.
Yeah, maybe next week.
They're not stands. They got a weird bottom on them. That's something different to just a stand, I think. There you go. Finding things on the go.
Squirrel.
Okie dokie, let's go over to the SQD area. Oh, excuse my voice this afternoon for you guys. It's still morning for me.
Still morning here for us.
Of course it is, yep, over on the west coast. Okay, so the SQD arm, they've got things set out a bit here. They've put this piece where it belongs and perhaps some of these pieces where they belong. And I'm going to risk that. I'm pretty sure Ryan's okay with this. Thank you, Ryan Hansen, for this little bit of render work here to show you. This is about how it's set out. So this piece here is on the far right, and this bit's got to go up. And that's the bit that goes over to the ship, and there's those connector rods through here. So this it makes it a lot easier when we see a picture like this to visualize what's actually going on. That's not the photo. What's actually going on in here. So there's that piece. So the bit that goes to the ship will be angled. So it's on its side here. This will be the top. I think, yeah, that'll be the top. And this piece has got to be lifted up a bit up here with the rest of that bit of the arm that wraps around the tower here.
Yeah, the
So
shoulder.
The shoulder, yeah. And we saw last week, there's a piece in here somewhere that's the piece that when it's hooked up to the ship, there's a piece that clips into the actual tower to hold it steady. There's still a few bits and pieces to be added, to be set out properly. And over here, these bits of steel are the bits that will connect to all these junction areas will be connected with these pieces of pipe over here. Hook onto these pieces. So a lot of welding to do in here still, but that should happen quite quickly, especially now all the welding crews are finished with the chopsticks over on the launch site. which is a good segue into chopsticks. So, chopsticks.
Surprise! Surprise! We have zebra chopsticks again.
Surprise, surprise, surprise. A few older folk will get that reference. So, all this bracing here is to be put on this set of chopsticks as well. So, I kind of thought maybe because they're shorter chopsticks, they may not need it. But anyway, looks like they do. And it's going to be so much easier, I guess, for the crew to be doing it here on scaffold rather than up on the man lifts.
Yeah, it should go by a lot quicker than they did on Pad A.
So I can't see them doing any work on the landing rail part yet. Not sure they were going to wait for some data for a landing on Pad A, launch Pad A at the launch site, or whether that's in the pipe work still. But I mean, this work's definitely going ahead on both chopsticks.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me that they're doing the reinforcements first, since they knew they had to do it on Pad A.
Yeah, that's a known, isn't it?
Yeah.
They haven't got the little actuators and dampeners not even in here, are they?
Well, don't even have the lower stabilizer assembly or on.
Yeah, under here for sure. Yep. So they'll lift the booster sort of in this area, but they can land the booster a bit closer, can't they? It doesn't have to land right here on the edge. You can land in here a bit, can't it? There's room in here for the booster.
It could land almost all the way to the right edge.
Cool. Okay, so that's the chopsticks and the SQD. Still can't find the skates anywhere for the carriage. We do have a delivery of the accumulator tanks. Now, they're only on one side so far. So maybe there's enough accumulator tanks there to go on both sides. We're discussing whether it's actually needed, whether they need both sides of the accumulators because of the small chopsticks. Perhaps the actuators don't need so much accumulators. And a good question, maybe chat can. I was hoping Dave Avery around to answer this question. Is do these rely on a hydraulic pump, or do they rely on these tanks, one being filled with oil and the rest filled with pressure, and they're force, so like pressurized nitrogen or whatever, forces the hydraulic oil into the rams, or whether it's actually high-speed hydraulic pumps running these actuators. I don't think we've got an answer to that. That was a question posed by Ryan Hansen, actually, so I'm not sure whether we've got an answer on that after all. Which is one thing I love about this community. Everyone's got their little specialties. Ryan's awesome at doing the 3D modelling here, and we get people like Dave Avery is good at hydraulics and stuff, and Alex and Lawrence here, you've got your specialties as well. And I'm good at leading a conversation, apparently. Okay, so that's that area. We'll go over to the rocket garden now, and we find a test article being scrapped. So the test article here is scrapped. So
Yeah,
finally, go on.
I was just going to say, yeah, that 5-ring development barrel that was sitting there forever was finally scrapped.
That was the one out of Mega Bay 2, wasn't it?
Yeah, that welding test article.
And while we're here, we've got Booster 4. I think this shot's better. Booster 4 has come up at... Oh, sorry, this shot. That's better. Booster 4 has come off the stand and is already being scrapped. Bits and pieces of it here and there. So it's definitely there's no engines under it now.
Yeah, I think they finally had the time to start scrapping everything. Plus, they're going to need the room because they now have 33 and 34 stacking. So they're going to need more room to park things.
32's on the chopping block.
Yeah, I was going to say, speaking of moving, 32's been moved closer to the scrapyard. So I guess that's why they've moved. I couldn't see another reason moving it just from there to there. I mean, wouldn't have to go to a bay, though, to get, like in a high bay, to get pulled apart.
Yeah, but I also speculated they moved it so they had a spot to park 30 when they destack.
That's a good question for later on when we get to the launch side or not. I've got a question there myself. Yeah, Joe, yeah, 32, yeah. I'm kind of suspecting you're correct there somehow. Something we didn't notice, actually, while we're here. So both 2-point lifters on the same SPMT here in the scrapyard. I think they're going to need this once more to put 31 onto a transport stand properly. And once that's done, I don't think they're going to need these anymore. So they can use the squid on 32. I think 31 needs to be lifted with a 2-point lifter.
Yes, it does.
At the moment, 31 is in high bay up on the build stand, so it needs to be put back down onto a transport stand sooner or later. Of course, the booster transport stand's missing. Now, while we're here, just a minor detail, those hoses that were there forever have been removed. I think they were removed last week, we missed it. And the AstroTurf had been removed as being replaced. We thought maybe with real grass, but no, it's got AstroTurf. I guess it's AstroTurf. Astro Joe, is it AstroTurf?
Plastic grass.
Plastic grass, yeah.
Yes, such as AstroTurf.
Okay, well, let's finish off quickly over here at the parking garage. It's just getting more and more confusing. So this side looks like it's getting fully enclosed. We can see there's a fair gap. Is it here? Shows it. There's a fair gap between the windows and the outer panelling to allow some airflow in here, behind here at least. We've got this angled theme continuing on at both ends here. So that's at least nice to see. But yeah, whereas the front, well, the very front, it looks like it's coming down on that angle and across, but down the back here, perhaps it's going to get fully enclosed. We can see the mounting brackets are all, or the holes at least are drilled for the mounting brackets. And there's some verticals here, which is different to the verticals here. So yeah, it's just getting more and more confusing, the parking garage. It appears there's going to be more than one entrance, which I think is fairly common for these sort of garages.
Yeah, you generally have 2 to 3 entrances and exits.
So I'd like to know anyone's thoughts on what's going on there.
I think they're doing it to not only because of aesthetic reasons for all the cladding on the parking garage, but it may also be due to light mitigation at nighttime because those headlights are bright when you see them driving in there.
Maybe. I mean, with the light, yeah, okay. I've sort of maybe the lights would be below that rail, but yeah, I'm not sure. Probably for aesthetics. I mean, which I thought originally safety, but I mean, surely these parking garages have these open windows around the place.
That's a very standard design, so I think they're just trying to make it match the look of the campus.
So it doesn't appear to have that angle on the front. There's that angle. Doesn't appear to have that on the back here. So perhaps that's just something for the front of the building. I'm wondering if the front of the building they have that angle down there, whether they're going to clad the top as well, but something in a different sort of maybe glass even for the to match the rest of the Star Factory. All right, with that, we might go to questions and donations, please, Joe.
All right. I want to thank the lovely Miss Jax for gifting a membership. Thank you for that support. I've got a question from Mark. Using the potential OLM parts, how many would be needed to create the pad, and what shape would it be? I don't think any of us really know, but what's your thoughts, guys?
I imagine
So,
there's four. Oh, go on.
yeah, I was gonna say. So we were trying to figure this out. Paper napkin math. Out the last couple of days, and they could just do the 4 beams. We were even thinking maybe something even a hexagonal shape, like the original foundation of OLMA, the original concrete foundation. Maybe something like that. And until we see more parts, we just really will not know.
Yeah. There'll be 4 legs and these 4 outer rails, and potentially more of the structure sitting on top of it. But right now it's yet a mystery. Uh-oh. Oh no.
Oh no, breaking out the measuring tools.
They need the room for welding, Stephanie, as well.
Well, that's just so it's just using paint. That's just a very rough idea of sort of the size of the things in here. So there's still something to go in the corners. That's a good question. Like Lawrence just said, I know, like Astros just said. So it's very hard to tell right now what exactly is going on with what this is going to look like. I like the idea that this is some kind of base, and there's still an OLM proper to be seen on top yet. In my opinion.
Yeah, because the opening is square is still going to be around 40 feet, so substantially larger than necessary.
So
Yeah,
the final shape should have a circle sort of shape inside here, the 9 or 10 meter diameter, whatever it's going to be, 10, 11 meter diameter.
yeah, whatever the clamps are going to mount to, because I still have a feeling that this is with the new OLM, the booster isn't going to sit down in the OLM like it currently does.
Well, that's a big call. That'd be interesting to see.
All right, well, I've got a question from Crane Man. Did you find out what the structure is behind the yellow mobile crane below the cable chain in the picture? Are they stacked gusset plates for Tower B or another structure?
Those were the original where the center trusses of the tower would connect with the concrete base on Tower A, but since Tower B doesn't, they changed the base, those were not needed anymore.
Can't see. Hang on. Down in this area down here.
Correct.
Yeah. I was expecting that question, Crane Man. Thank you for your question.
Perfect. Mahmoud Ahmad asking, can you point out where the, I'm sorry, can you point out where the, geez, can you point out where the ship pin location will be on the new chopsticks? There we go.
Well, I guess they'll be roughly here.
Yep.
All right.
That's where stacking will be.
It'll depend on where they put the stabilizer bar down here, but I'm pretty sure it'll be the same. Well, I'm imagining it'll be the same distance away from the tower as the current one. So we'll have the vertical down here and the angled here, and wherever that stabilizer point is, will be directly above it.
It's until the location of the LM is established, it'll be hard to know for sure where the stacking location will be on the rails.
Also, there's a chance that these sticks won't have the lifting pins on top, like the current. If they're just going to be doing the catchable ships from Pad B.
That's a good point. There is a chance that that's whole ship lifting pin design is going to totally change, but for now, version 2 seems to still having the lifting pins, and I expect this tower to perhaps launch version 2s also. I think Pad A will also launch version block 2s, so I guess we may still see the pins on this set of chopsticks in the interim before we see that Lawrence, perhaps.
Yeah, I'm thinking both the 33 and 34 are going to get launched from Pad A still, and that's why they still have those lifting points.
That's a good point. Then on to 35 or whatever for the you could be right there actually. I'll put that in the filing cabinet as well. So we didn't actually mention before they've been working on these vaporizers. I mean these condensers, and since
Which
this
leads me to
photo,
my next question.
oh, good on you. Yep, go on.
Torsten Giedak asking, those two new hippos, are they for launch side or Massey's?
Launch side.
Yeah, definitely.
And whether they're hippos or recondensers, we haven't quite worked it out yet, have we, Alex?
No. They're
So
definitely custom pieces of kit, though.
Yeah, I think they've been cutting off the ends and putting flanges on, as far as I know. And since this photo, this scaffolding's been pulled down, I think.
Indeed, it has.
Thank you, Joe.
All right, no problem. That is all the questions I have, but I do have a statement from Jean-Francois Harder saying that I love your live show. Thanks a lot, and thank you for that. We enjoy doing it.
Thank you.
Thank you. We do enjoy doing this very much. Thank you. Okay, let's move over to the build site. And just while we've got this photo, looks like the ring yard is nicely finished off. I think last week we had one square here somewhere to go.
I don't believe this.
Are you waiting for a jackhammer to come back in here?
I kind of itching to do it myself.
Yeah, they're working on the backside now, so we'll see that in a minute. So they don't need to do it right there, right now.
We've got lots of lines marked, and I just noticed something actually. So they've got the dotted lines where, because you're not supposed to drive over an unmarked, unbroken white line. That's the road rules in Australia anyway. So they've got where they go to doors and so on, marked in dotted lines. But look, guys, they haven't put one for high bay. Does that mean high bay is not going to be there much longer?
Obviously, make it die. I think once we see more of how future stacking, it'll be obvious what high bay or mega bay like structure will be necessary to keep up with their construction cadence.
I agree.
So go on.
I was just gonna say, yeah, I think 31 being retiled in there may be one of the last big operations that high bay sees.
But like Mega Bay 2 seems to be lacking a tile suitable station, and there's some of the welding that they're still doing that they can't do in Mega Bay 2 that they can in High Bay. So
Well,
there's some
just on that. So we saw last week we saw Ship 34's payload and nose cone barrel get welded in high bay here, but then we saw through the week that getting put back in the factory via this door. So it's obvious that it fits through that door, which I think we already knew that. Perhaps soon enough that type of welding will be done in this part of the factory, and they just haven't got the jig set up yet or the robot welder set up yet. I imagine that'll get done inside the factory, and they won't need to do that in the high bay as well. Just going on another reason they don't need the high bay. But for now, sure. For now, it's still a valuable piece of kit. But I don't know that I think its days are numbered.
Yeah, I agree with that, especially with what we're going to see in Mega Bay 2 soon, and what we've seen over the last week is the new work platforms that have been added to the existing structure for access all around the ship. The fold down platforms.
True. So while we're in here, we can see 31. I have to take a second there. Has its scaffolding set up to do the rest of the retiling. So that's one job for now. It's like Alex is saying that the high bay is needed for. But I guess soon enough that'll happen over there. Soon enough in Mega Bay 2.
and Mega Bay 3.
And then Mega Bay 3, yeah. Maybe Ultra Bay 3. Maybe Ultra Bay 3.
Flat Bay.
And may even go, like they could even, that whole thing could be bay, to be honest, but I don't think that's correct, but it could be. And I think it's, do you think at Kennedy they might, at Roberts Road, where it is, they might see the bays like here connected to the factory, even perhaps like one great big extra, like they've got here, an extra step out here, another whole high bay, just one big high bay. That'd be nice to see.
Yeah,
But
I
maybe
really
not.
I like that idea for the clean room factor at 39A and at Kennedy and the Cape.
As well, right at the front here, looks like they finished earthworks through here. I'm still kind of in the thought that might be a grassy, oh, I nearly said it, a grassy area between the building and the highway yet, or at least some kind of aesthetic groundwork. While we're here, we can see they've continued their pressure washing of the roof. All the yucky, all the gunk that's come off up here. So I guess they'll keep washing that down and out. An interesting point here is those rings marked down here. So we have a ring yard area out here, which is the ring yard. The ring watchers would be happy to see. So just going back to the OLM, they're building. So those pieces we saw already arrived. Don't mean to jump around, sorry. How's it go? Sorry, not sorry. These pieces here perhaps could be sort of this part of an OLM here, or at least the base of this part with the legs going out further. And that's why these are set so far apart because there'll be a centre bit, then maybe some legs come out at an angle a bit like this. So just thought while I was in this little area.
Yeah, very possible.
Okay, while we're back here, the jackhammer's being redeployed just for a change. The guess here is that they're doing some. So this is some of the old drainage work that came through from the ring yard. I imagine that they still have to hook up these downpipes here. So perhaps that's what's going on here. They're going to do this bit of drainage work to get the rainwater out here. We notice that they've put this little banks. What do you call them, Alex? Little guides.
It's a dam.
Little
A
dam banks.
diverter.
Diverters, that's it, to divert some of that roof rainwater. I can see it over here to divert some of this rainwater into that area. Take a little bit of load off these ones, I guess. I mean, there must be a ton of water. When it rains heavy, you can imagine how much water goes down that part of the roof on this nearly 30 acres of roof here. Oops. Sorry about that. All right, so let's move over to this area next door while we're right here. I don't think we could see much change here. They finished doing a little bit of work they were doing here. So they've finished putting in all these electrical boxes for the for these units. Don't appear to have hooked them up yet. Work continues in this area a little bit. It's a bit quiet this week. Not sure what's going on in here exactly. Guess we'll find out in the near future. This photo, one of these photos here, we can see booster 15s. I think there's a better photo. Yeah, this photo. Booster 15's methane tank is missing, so we assume that's been stacked up on top of Booster 15's LOX tank, so Booster 15's pretty well fully stacked. And we can see the empty stand where Booster 12 was. 12 was there, then 13, 12, 13, 14, and 15's in this corner. So I guess we'll see 15 down at Massey's one of these days soon.
Yeah, we're still waiting for 14 to go there.
True, that. I actually forgot about that, thank you. So that's it for the bays area, I think. They're finished with that bit of concreting. They're continuing work along this face here. They're putting in that concrete wall. So I guess we'll continue all the way through. They've got this bit of concrete up to here at least. So a bit more to go there. Okay, let's go to the office. Just coming along nicely. Let's go a bit closer here. We'll start from overhead. So we've got these couple of footings here, the last couple of footings to be finished up as far as we can tell. So all these footings through here are finished. The footings all in this area have been finished. So just these couple of footings here to be finished, and all the footings are complete. So we'll see this part of the the factory, come through here. Looks like the bridge crane might end here as well. So that one there, I think, ended there, that bridge crane. They're continuing, so they've added some more steel. You can see here they've added some steel in here. I think that might have even happened while the flyover was going on. So that's for that bay through here.
Yeah, those two lower bays should extend almost all the way up to the factory. I mean, to the office. Yeah.
Even bridge cranes all the way to here, perhaps even. Then they're going to have this funny little triangle here, whatever that's going to be. This little funny little triangle in here, aren't they?
Oh, nobody'll see it.
This is amazing how they're doing this. The insulation work continues. We see a lot of places on concrete where there's this rusty colour, which is actually rust from iron filings and so on. But I think here it's just all mud from workers' boots. It's the same colour mud as over here. Look at this mud in here. Must be, when it rains here, it must be a messy kind of place. You see it all over the concrete here and all over the roof. Yeah, so insulation work continues. Still no indication what this little area is going to be. Still think it's going to be a bit of plant room, I suppose. It's a bit strange.
I was just going to say, it definitely looks like they left it open to lift some heavy mechanical equipment in there.
It doesn't seem to have any provision for any kind of roofing there at all. I'm going to switch over to this view for a minute to check out the triangle opening. My words today just won't work. So we can see some little cutouts here and some little landing spots for something like this big beam here. We couldn't quite work out whether they're going to go right across there or there's another beam in here, and we'll just go back to the directly down photo. So that photo is just good to show how those cutouts all work. So there's this beam here, which I should get paint out, shouldn't I? Which we're not sure what's going to be, whether it's going to be some kind of angled roof up here. But it looks like one way or another there's going to be framework to put glass in the top of this atrium. So there's another beam here. And I'm not sure whether these are these studs here or these are part of this. So perhaps some glass in the top here at least. There's a few bits and pieces of beam all over the place here. And there's a bit more of the beam down here perhaps too. I think that's some of that beam. So this whole area in here is going to look quite spectacular from down in there. I can just see the floors below in here. So that's looking right down to the ground inside there.
Yeah, it definitely would make sense to have an open skylight area for natural lighting.
Down here we can see where they pulled the pipes through from the back of the factory to those cooling units that we saw down the back of the factory. Just quickly, these cooling units, the plumbing goes all the way around. I should use this photo, sorry. Plumbing goes all the way around and underground through to there. We can see the end of the pipes here. But it looks like they've dug up the trench through here and they'll likely cut these pipes off here. And then I'll go back to a different photo quickly over here. We can see better on this photo. They've cut a trench in through here. And here's some of the plumbing pipe work to connect those pipes across here. There's an upright there. But we also saw in previous weeks the plumbing actually already installed in the building here. Somewhere here, I think it was, or here, the two lines going in.
It's on the left corner. You can see in the excavation the two pipes are sticking.
Down in here, yep.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what that is. That just part of that machine? That's not a pipe, is it?
It looks like a pipe.
Yeah, it's a
It
weird
could be
place.
welding it.
Oh, that could be manufacturing, yeah. True. Very
Yeah.
true. So, go on.
I was just going to say that extension is definitely looking more and more like a data center.
So we're still not sure whether that units around the back of the factory to cool this part of the factory as well. Why can't I see them? We can see the pipework in here as well.
It's
Must be a
blue.
different color. Anyway, they're in there somewhere. I can't quite see them right now.
They're right next to the center column in blue. So they're right where your hand is.
Cool. Can't see the glass. Can't really see in there. They haven't gone any further here with the glass down here yet. Well, while we're on this photo, they're continuing to dig up San Martin Boulevard. I imagine that to make it look like this. And once they finish this side, I imagine they'll tear up this side and make it look like that. So I was hoping to see the bottom of the glass, but remember we can't quite see it. The roof's pretty well finished on that front piece. There's still got to add some insulation, I guess, over the top of that to make it white like the rest of it. Now, last week we saw, can't quite see it in this photo, is it over the back there? There's a floor being poured with, oh, there it is, being poured with concrete already. There it is through there. That floor has been poured in concrete as far as I know. What are these things around the bottom of the posts here?
It's to, when they pour the slab, they don't connect the floor slab to the legs.
Yeah. Yeah, because concrete heating and cooling contracts and expands and can actually shear posts off at the ground. So that hasn't been concrete. It's funny how they do concreting in some parts and don't in other parts. Like over here's concreted, and we saw those little cutouts here as well when they poured this concrete. So this bit's concrete and this bit's not. So I'll keep an eye on that in the next couple of weeks. That should be filled in quite quickly, the rest of that factory, to meet up with the office. Now, did I see some cladding on... Oh, that's the wrong photo. Somewhere, did I see some cladding on this part of the factory, on one of
Yes.
the grounds, on this part of the office?
Last night they started hanging white. I can't tell if it's what the material is.
Yeah, so starting to clad this with a similar sort of white to there, I suppose.
That's just sheetrock. I'm assuming because they were fairly large panels that it's similar to what they put on the exterior, the Highway 4 side of the factory, but in white instead of black or charcoal.
This stuff down here.
The large panels like on the upper section, but white, not charcoal.
Yeah, could it be like the exterior walls of the Star Factory itself?
Yeah,
Up here.
yeah,
Like this
that.
stuff up here. Yep. Yep, gotcha. I must say, this front, I said in show and tell, this front of the factory is looking quite nice and new and all nice and tidy and clean, like a rocket factory should. That's come a long way from building rockets literally out in the paddock, to having a nice, shiny, clean, sort of what a rocket factory should look like.
Gotta look nice for those drone shots of the boosters and ships rolling out for flight.
Some really nice panoramic views there. Let's finish over here at the swimming pool, I think, and the sushi bar. So they've been working on the swimming pools a bit. You can see some skimmer boxes in these two pools and some of the plumbing that will go in behind the concrete. And they're doing a bit of work in here, getting everything squared up and ready for the steel work in there as well, ready for some more plumbing. He's built things a bit different in Australia, in America to Australia. In Australia, I've had a lot to do with swimming pools, concrete swimming pool construction. We do have skimmer boxes the same, but the rest of the plumbing's a little bit different the way we do it, but that's fine. It has my tick of approval. Onto the sushi bar. The sushi bar. It's got its plumbing in and its outside footings put in. And it looks like it's going to have glass walls. So we've got non-load bearing walls with the steel uprights here, posts to carry the weight of the roof. I think what's going on there. This house over here, it took me a minute to find it over here. The new house here is almost finished. And still some more construction going on with these last few house blocks. I think that's everything at the build site. Have we got some donations and questions, please, Joe?
The only question I've had come in is from Starsoon asking, how would High Bay be taken down, level by level, or like Mid Bay was, topple it towards the highway when Stargate is gone? What are our options here?
I think they'll pull it towards the highway when they decide to remove it.
Well, as is right now, I think there's no room to do what they did with with Mid Bay, sorry. More than likely get taken down bit by bit for now. So it's a good question. I mean, they can just gas axe these corners. Much like the reverse of the way they put the mega bays up, or that mega bay anyway, and cut out. It's a good question. I'm not sure they'll take, I guess Stargate, I mean, it could be being removed as well. I mean, there's plenty of room over in the new office for whatever happens at Stargate. But maybe not. Maybe Stargate needs to be isolated for ITAR reasons. I'm not sure. Stargate may remain. I'm not sure. If Stargate doesn't get moved, sorry, Joe, it'll have to get pulled down bit by bit. I don't think there's enough room to let it fall down. How is chat going over there? I see he's actively chatting over there. Hi, chat. All right, let's go over to the launch site then. For dramatic effect, let's just go over to the the launch site. We've got some nice low-level photos. So if anyone was watching the flight on Friday, the little the little Cessna 150 took a bit of time to get up to its 11,000 feet. She's not a lot of horsepower in a little aeroplane, but they eventually got up. So they did some low-level flights on their way up, and then they eventually got all the way up to 10,000 feet, actually 11,000 feet. Okay, let's go and start over at the flame trench area, where digging has begun. At least some digging has begun anyway. And we see some of the piles.
So I've had a thought about this. Would it make sense to isolate the commodities trench from the flame trench itself for structural reasons like vibrations at launch and stuff. 2 separate pile caps, basically.
Probably not, but they probably still won't be joined at least that far out because the bulk of the loading will be directly underneath CLM on the flame deflector. By the time it gets out there, most of the piles are for supporting the walls and keeping the trench from floating up like a large bathtub.
So the idea is these piles here to stop what you just said, Alex, to stop the Commodities trench floating up like a bathtub.
Yeah, you can see it's flooded already.
In here, is that water down there, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, it is too, yeah.
And they have hoses going down. They probably lowered pumps in there already.
Oh, here, yeah. Okay, more in this photo, we've got some pipe work here, and we've got some pipe work in the ground and some holes being dug. So they're not going down, or do you think they're going down that far? What was your thought on this, Alex?
Those are about 60 foot for deep dewatering. So, yeah, the ground level, they're going to be digging fairly deep, obviously, because they're not using their normal well points that they did around the OLIT.
They used those well points over by the bunker too, didn't they?
Yep.
So it's I'll go.
No, that's a first major indication that it's going to probably be around 40 to 50 feet deep.
So this excavator is digging those holes. There's one here, and there's probably another couple through there. One here. There may be more over here we've missed. Is there some more?
They marked on the columns. They marked on the columns where they're going to be drilling. With these, you usually put them probably about every 15 feet.
Cool. And we see we can. So the concrete filling's going ahead. I think it's right up to.
I thought it was right at not. No, I thought it was high, almost at 1 or 2 below the top.
So it's not there. Not there. Hang on, where are we? That's joined. That's joined.
It's right there at 9 filling 8 would be where it'd be hooked up next.
Yeah, I believe they're up to 7 as far as the filling goes at this point.
Six, 7, 8, 9. And I saw a ground photo of some comments that they're finishing up the welding up here on the top level, the 8 to 9 welds as well. So tower's pretty well welded.
Except for the new weld doublers they're adding.
Do you think they're going all the way up or just down the bottom?
I'm surprised they were even adding this.
They added these at 39A as well because of the way the tower was constructed.
So they're adding doublers. I guess they're there. I'm sure we had a better photo of that. Just 1 second. Yeah, this photo. So adding weld doublers to the tower. So I'm not sure they're only going down the bottom. There was a comment because of the base here is different. So they only need them at the bottom, but we'll see if they go further up. Are they prepping up here? Let me see. Well, the scaffolding's still there, so maybe. Okay, while we're here. See the two commodities. Culverts. Words won't work today. Culverts are here. They've got their trench work going on over towards the vaults over here. Was it this week the crane's up? No, the crane was up last week, wasn't it?
Correct.
Yes.
There's still a massive big hole in the ground here. You can see down here. It's quite deep still. And yeah, these conduits are quite deep.
It's ramping up finally, though. It's
okay. Okay. What else is new around here? That's about it, is it?
They poured the floor of the drawworks, and I think the first floor, the top floor of the tower.
Up
Right,
in
but
here?
yeah, I think all that was finally poured this week.
Yeah, they've been finishing off the internal of the base as well as the drawworks floors.
So we saw the concrete pump here through the week with part of the boom all the way inside the tower, so they're more than likely finishing off the flooring all the way through.
Mm.
So we got these commodities coming down through that little gap under the outside of this wall, coming down probably through that floor somewhere and into this culvert here to come out. And we think don't we, Alex? It's going to go through to that hole, and
Correct.
then these main cryo pipes come along to that other. You can see it through there, through the hole in that edge, which still means we haven't got somewhere where these main cryo pipes for the booster QD. Maybe they'll just go straight into the farm, tank
They
farm.
put the piles they drilled for it run in front up to the edge, the right where your hand is, so they'll hook behind the vault right
Behind
through there.
here.
Yep.
Cool. So the tower needs more of these sort of commodities than the OLM does, by the look of it.
Yeah, for the ship, there's going to be extra. We know there's 2 different argon lines that are running on this, and we're still wondering why. Is it for the Starlinks that are going to be loaded? Is it going to be for
Welders.
something else?
The amount of welding they do.
And then we've got all the big water pipes to come through, which more than likely will run this side, I think we worked out. So I'll have the water deluge farm in here somewhere, tank farm stuff over here somewhere, and air separation unit over here somewhere.
Yeah. But the booster also gets most of the same complement of lines of gas. So there.
Well, my question now is why don't they need a bunker like this for the OLM? That's what I'm probably more my question.
Let's wait to. They might just have the booster pipe work come out the open top rather than cutting underneath. There's a lot we can't tell yet.
Yeah. More questions than answers still at the moment. Is that another hole they've dug over here? Or that's a bank of dirt, maybe.
They filled that in a little bit.
Yep.
They're just moving dirt from one area to the next.
So little bits and pieces, a bit of the tedious sort of concrete, little bits and pieces going on. Still going ahead nicely, nice and quick. It's good to see some digging going on. So perhaps we'll see some more digging in the near future. So they haven't got the pile breaker here yet to take the tops off these piles you were saying a bit earlier, Alex.
Now it's down by the dirt pile to the right of frame. By the right there where your hand is.
Okie dokie. I think that just about wraps up that launch site area, doesn't it?
Yeah, the only thing I'll add is this morning they started adding more scaffolding on that side where the commodities should be coming through the tower base.
Yeah, they removed them earlier in the week before they poured the decking.
Just in this area, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It looked like there was a trailer sitting there with more of the smaller pipes getting ready to go in.
I've got a question myself personally. There's been a lot of activity with those excavators going on and digging over there in the trench, and there's one, I think it's a red one, that is not like actually digging anything. It's like holding things up suspended. What's going on there?
They have two of these excavators that they're drilling for the dewatering wells. The red one of them, the red one below, further down, also has a drill on its by its bucket.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
They're using those augers.
And there's a pile of them. They're like 5-foot sections that they just add them as they go.
Wow, cool. I never knew that. Thank you.
Good question. Okay, moving on. Let's go to the tank farm. So they finally made it through the concrete. But it doesn't look like it, does it? Isn't that like 8 feet thick? Like 6 foot thick or something stupid?
Turns out it's only about 4.5 feet thick.
So they're putting piles in, their pile caps, I assume, and getting whatever's going to go in here. This is just sitting over here resting at the moment, and this is just a spot, not digging here. This is just like a dam to put waste products from the grouting. Is that right, Alex?
Yeah, when they clean out area, because after every pile's drilled, they have to flush out the auger before they drill another one.
Oh, they've got that all set up over here where they're bringing it in by the look of it, is it?
Yeah, that's where they're pumping the concrete.
Yeah, we've been seeing it active at night.
So the driller's now waiting to get into this section. So we can see this is cut out here as well. It looks like it's cut out here as well already, or it's going to be cut out to there at least.
I think it's all cut out there. They're probably only a third of the way done with the top piles from previous tanks.
Very good.
Because they'll usually skip every other or every third and then go back.
So even in here, there's still more to come in here.
Yeah, because they'll usually drill them what space, then they'll come back and fill in between, because you don't want to have a bunch of makes the ground Swiss cheese until the concrete has a chance to set a little bit.
Sharpie in chat, vertical tank traces slowly being erased from view. Yep, there'll be nothing left of any kind of evidence there was ever any vertical tanks here at all soon enough.
Can't be soon enough.
So yeah, there's two thoughts there. Some folk are like, oh, sad to see them go and it didn't work for them, but it has improved the view. It's been good to see the views are better now. You can see into the tower better now, and yeah, I guess it makes more logic sense to have the tanks down low out of the way when you got the world's biggest rocket being launched like literally within meters. Let's quickly over the deluge palm. Last week we saw these manifolds. These 6 vertical manifolds, these 4 at this end were removed. That was a joke earlier. Perhaps they were taken out so they couldn't use a deluge palm by mistake. But they've been reinstalled, so I'm not sure what happened there or why they pulled them out and put them back in again.
They might have been adding some valves, because they're doing some work in the corner close to where where your hand would be. You can't see it. Since they're going to be running the deluge with the catch, they might have wanted to segregate some of the gas for that use.
Okay, so you've got, say, these banks and maybe that bank for launch deluge, and then maybe this bank for landing deluge.
Correct.
So that would give them full pressure at landing rather than a half depleted sort of pressure for landing. So this is one of the stabilizers here, I guess, laying on the ground there.
Yeah, because and they're still doing lots of mystery welding.
Yeah, this area here is there's something going on in here. They've got some trailers and a tent up, so there's some welders and whatever in here. There's something going on in this area still. This whole area is cleaned up from all the bracing from the chopsticks, but this didn't have anything to do with that, I don't think.
No, I think that's for the deluge form.
Yep, so a bit of upgrading or maintenance going on with the deluge farm, or likely upgrades to do with the catch. Okay, the stack's still stacked. The question I have about the stack, will they leave it stacked until November?
I don't think so. I think they're going to both come back off. And we know that they removed the lower stabilizer pins to work on the actual mounts for those. So I think they'll be getting re-added probably this week.
These lower points here?
Yeah.
Stabilizer pins, yep. So I'm told they can destack I believe they can destack the booster without these, but they definitely needed to restack it.
That's correct.
And we saw them put the stabilizer pins back in the ship yesterday, was it?
Yeah, I believe last night they reconnected.
I mean, obviously it's got to come down before flight for the FTS and that, but it does seem a bit of a stretch to leave it sitting stacked for the next, still, like 2 months or a month and a half at least.
Yeah, that's why I believe S-32 got moved out of the rocket garden, not just to scrap, but to make room for S-30 to have a parking spot while they wait for launch.
Well, I mean, couldn't 30 have been put there anyway?
Oh,
30 has been parked here before. I was a bit confused when I said that earlier. I'm not sure. Is there an advantage to have it here rather than there? Maybe there is.
Yeah. Basically, that's a scrapping area now, so it's or a temporary parking spot. But if it's going to be a long duration, you might want to have it in a normal parking spot.
They have all the infrastructure on that one, since it was the old engine install stand to leave a ship bolted down for just like the other side.
Yeah, it's got a pressurized unit and everything. But I can't see the difference between the two. I know what you're saying, Lawrence. It is closer to being the scrap, but I don't think it's going to get scrapped out here because there's no crane here to lift it. So that's going to have to go into the high bay at least to get scrapped. But yeah, so you could be right though. It would look better over here. There must be some There must be some reason why they did it. I can't see the reason myself personally yet, but obviously there's some reason why they moved it over there. You could very well be right there, Lawrence.
Yeah, I just can't see them leaving this out here till November or December, whenever the launch is going to be approved. The license is going to be approved.
It would
All right,
be
chat. Go.
it would be an interesting test of the clamps with all the wear and tear and loading of it sitting here for 2 months.
Yeah, and with them already complaining about them binding as is, I just don't see any long durations like Flight 2.
I mean, they could destack. I thought they may even give 13 a static fire here before they launch. They've got plenty of time. I mean, once they get their deluge permits and everything worked out, I can't see it being any harm. I mean, they brought this transport stand back over here as well. So, yeah, they very much could destack it. All right, chat. I want 10 minutes of questions, please.
I've got myself another personal question. Those two new hippos that we saw at Sanchez, where are they going to go here? Since we determined they will be for the launch site.
Potentially, they're redoing the methane reclamation system. So probably one of them will be on the old Lego pad with the 2 tanks that are in Sanchez.
Cool. That's what I was thinking as well. Just wanted to get confirmation from everybody else. I want to thank William Foss for a $2 super chat saying that my fine for all the donut talk during show and tell. That was funny. Thanks, buddy. Question from William Foss about the air separation plant. Is that for generating LN2, O2, CO2 on site or a phase changer?
For lux and nitrogen and a little argon, just for good measure.
Agreed.
So just on that, our atmosphere is made up of mostly nitrogen and a little bit of oxygen and a little bit of argon. Other than that, there's very little of all the other gases you mentioned. So mostly, yeah, nitrogen and oxygen and a little bit of argon, yeah.
And it's that was a trick question because liquefying is a phase change.
Yeah.
Excellent point.
Glad you spotted that, Alex. Thanks, Jay.
All right, a question from Credence. For Pad B, would it make more sense to place the mount over to the southwest side of the tower rather than on the corner? Chopsticks take more load lifting and landing than stacking.
Where they kind of, for catching, have to be at a 45 to the tower. So it's gonna have to catch it basically just on this one. It would be slightly to the north. Yeah, where she has her hand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we discussed this a couple of times in show and tell. The carriage and everything. The best place for landing's going to be one of the toughest things the chopsticks ever have to do. Lifting's kind of a easy thing for them. So we imagine for the carriage, they'd want everything loaded quite evenly. You might get to hear a kookaburra there in the background. So they'll want the sticks exactly 45 degrees out here, which is slightly not quite over the OLM as we originally thought. So it might be sort of just over here a little bit. I mean, they could land it straight over here, but see, the booster is at its heaviest when it's going to land. When it's being lifted, the booster is at its lightest. It's empty. So the maximum load, and also there's going to be some sort of vertical speed as well. So it's going to be the toughest job for the sticks is going to be the landing. So they want that as close to center to get all the loads centralized on the carriage as much as possible, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree, and I think with Pad B, we'll see it actually more centered than Pad A was.
It'll more than likely be a bit more offset. Because of the engine placement in a two-sided deflector. It has to be about either 54 or 36 degrees of relation to the side of the trench.
I suppose there's nothing stopping the OLM being a bit further offset that way, at least. It can't be offset any further this way because they need room to lift from. So the chopsticks are fairly well right around this side when they lift. So it can't be any closer this way, but it could be a little bit further that way for sure. We'll soon see what the answer to that will be. Won't be very long at all. Once the trench is dug and they start doing the concrete base work, we should be able to see where the OLM is placed fairly early. We should be able to see some embeds and some kind of concrete structure where the actual OLM will be. We should be able to see quite easily where it's going to be fairly soon, I hope. Thank you, Joe.
Indeed. Question from Rankley. Do you think once Pad B is operational, they'll immediately start upgrading Pad A, or will they? Whoops, another question just came in, so I have to scroll. Do you think once Pad B is operational, they'll immediately start upgrading Pad A, or will they do some multiple launches type tests, for example, orbital refueling before shutting down Pad A?
It's probably more of a regulatory question, because they'd have to be approved to have two pads.
I think once we see the tiered EA get approved and Pad B coming online, that's when we'll see the Pad A upgrades really go into full effect.
Depends if booster 11 here, booster 12 here starts the upgrades by crashing down there. I jest. Thank you, Joe.
Sure.
All right. HAL 9000 asking, could the trench that they are excavating be for water deluge?
There'll be
Yes.
water deluge in it. And go on.
I was just going to say, yeah, it looks like it's going to be the deluge and the commodities going around the trench.
I'm not convinced either way there. Water deluge could come from this side. It could come from that side. There may be some more could even come right around here. I thought by the although that map we saw was only a guide, for now it looks like it's only commodities, but I could be wrong. You could be right there, Alex and Lawrence.
All
So,
right.
nah,
Go
it'll
ahead.
go. They won't put water in the trench, in the commodities trench.
Doesn't sort of seem big enough, to be honest. Like they're massive pipes.
That's over 4 meters wide, so it's a pretty big trench.
Well, that's another thing. We'll just have to wait and see. I'm not convinced either way yet. It's a good question, though, actually. Very good question. Thank you.
All right. Just want to take a quick second and remind everybody to hit that like button for us, please. If we could get to 500 before stream end, that'd be great. Raphael Leavitt asking, is there a reason the tank farm expansion is going so slow? Thought weeks ago more tanks had arrived.
Yeah, good question. So did I, actually. Go ahead, Lawrence.
I was just going to say the tanks that arrived went to Massey's to finish off the Locks farm. So we're still waiting to see more tanks arrive for the expansion. But I believe with the rest of the construction going on, they're not really needed right now. They really don't have the room.
Yeah, it's a logistics issue, and they're just started working on the cages for additional piles over here, where Hoppy was there. They're
1 sec. Over here, what's going on?
they're tying more cages, and these are the much longer ones than the ones they're using on the Lego pad.
So these will be for more
Yeah.
tank putting. Yep, okay. Well, there you go. So they're making a start on the tank farm. I guess it's sort of in line with the whole Pad B. There's a lot to do in Pad B between the building the tower and getting all that trenching done and all the commodities, plumbing and all that in. And we've seen over at Sanchez too, these valve assemblies being constructed over there at the GC building over at Sanchez. So there's the work is going on. I can just see them over here. I'll just show you them here quickly. There's one there. So that work is going ahead with the tank farm expansion. It's just a little bit slower and a little bit more hidden than what you're expecting, I think. That reminds me, over here we found this weird thing. I'm not sure what that is, those pipes, but anyway, we don't need to go there now. Thank you, Joe.
Indeed. Question from Nathan Weller. Do you think if regulation approvals came in tomorrow, they could drive the crane and dozers away and launch after FTS is added?
No.
I think the question there is Pad A physically able to launch right now, given all the approvals and the tank once this deluge bit of plumbing's finished over here? Is this actually capable of doing a full load, prop load, and actually flight as far as the whole pad and the tank farm go? Is it actually ready to launch? Which I think it is, isn't it?
It's very possible.
Once the deluge tank farm is back operational, it would probably will be. They've completed most of the switchovers that they were working on the tank farm.
So there was a few things here, wasn't there? There was some switchovers going on here and over here, and then obviously the main tanks.
Yeah, they moved the part of the methane vaporization for the pneumatics to the front of the where the old gate was, and they switched the pressure building circuits for the methane to under those two smaller tanks. Now the methane ones, be it those two, they moved it there.
Yep, so I've done quite a bit of work on the tank farms, but yeah. So, Lawrence, what were you going to say?
I was just saying there, with all the work they did on the recondensing for the methane, I think that's one of the reasons why we saw that partial load test, was just to verify that those changes had been completed and were working.
They haven't done anything with the recondensing side yet.
And they'll need a full dress rehearsal before launch, will they?
Definitely.
That's a question from KMS.
Yeah, they're going to need to verify all their timings and filling rates.
Okay, thanks, Chet. That filled out a bit of time for us. Any more questions, Joe?
Hey, I got a couple more. Bite-sized Wisdom is asking, how would a version of the trench be implemented at Pad A without interfering with the deluge and tank farms, wetlands, beach, etc.? It doesn't seem like the tower orientation is accommodating.
Alex?
You could fit a trench. It You'd probably have to remove the fluid bunker and the pond. But if you look at Pad B, half of it doesn't extend too much past the tower, so on it wouldn't extend to it end right about where the berm is, and it would one end and the other end would end up just about in the a little bit further closer to the closer to the OLM. It would just be touching, yeah, there. But they have to redo all the GSC.
Yeah, it's going to be a massive upgrade to put a flame trench in there for sure. I mean, by then too, if they're going to redo all that, the tank farm and all that, and pumps and hippos for Pad B will be over here and operational. They can literally tear out all this section. They can literally rip all this out here and place it somewhere else if they really need to, and can open up that whole area quite easily. Well, not easily, but it's doable. But like I said, the trench will be about here somewhere. And this end here, there's plenty of scope here. They may even be able to reclaim a little bit more land by then or something like that as well. Thank you, Joe.
All right, I think we got time for two more questions, and then we'll call it a day. JS Web Productions asking, do you think they will use a upside down showerhead, air quotes, deluge system in the bottom of the trench at Tower B?
I think
question.
it will be more of a wedge with flares on either side.
So many possibilities.
That's kind of what I'm hoping for.
So going back to what you were just saying before, Alex, here about the flame trench, so it ends quite close to the tower here. So we go back over that other photo. So it's not very far past the tower here. It's sort of there where this end will be. Thank you, Joe.
All right, one final question from Andy Alder. Can they concrete right up to the water line, wait for silt to build up, and expand concrete ad nauseum without approval from Army Corps of Engineers?
The only place they could, without approval, once the land swap happens, they could extend that way. Everywhere else is actual connected wetlands. But the area they just filled in, those 2 fingers of water, are not physically connected to the rest of the wetland. So a very open reading of the Clean Water Act and waters of the United States, you could argue that those are not connected wetlands, therefore they don't fall under the Clean Water Act.
Okay, that was the last question, Joe. We'll wrap up.
I just wanted to thank William Foss for gifting a membership here at the last minute. So thanks for that. And y'all begin your sign-offs.
All right, thank you, Lawrence, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me as always, and another great episode.
And thank you, Alex, for joining us very much.
No problem. It was a fun time as always.
And I'll sign up and say g'day from Australia again, which can mean goodbye, I guess. And I'll see you next week for another fantastic flyover from RGB. And thank you, RGB, for the photos. And thank you, Joe.
Agreed. Yeah, thanks very much, RGB. This has been a really fun one. I think Chad agreed. Everybody enjoyed the show today. So thanks, Mauricio. Thanks, Emlyn, for turning the knobs and pushing the buttons. Thanks, everybody else that do everything in the background throughout the week for the mini episodes and everything that goes on to keep the show running. Thanks, Astro Jen, my lovely wife, for scheduling. And with that, I'll say most engines cut off. Hot staging confirmed. Love you. Bye.